Hi dear students, so let's get started with the last part of the chapter, that is nothing but microorganisms, friends and foe. So in the last video we were discussing about the four nature of the microorganisms, wherein we discovered that these microorganisms, most of them are pathogens. That means they are capable of causing the communicable diseases which spread from one person to the another person. So the various causes, there are various pathogens which can cause n number of diseases in case of human beings and plants. In today's class, we should simply take a few examples of the diseases that are given in the textbook in your syllabus, which are caused by the pathogens in human beings and plants. To start with, let us talk about the diseases in humans, and I will categorize them into whether they are bacterial, viral, or any other pathogen caused. So to start with, we have the tuberculosis. Now this tuberculosis disease, in short it is referred as TB. Now this is caused by a bacteria which is called as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is caused by a bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The second one will be cholera. We have heard of this disease often. We say this person is suffering from cholera, this person is suffering from malaria, this person is suffering from typhoid, dengue. All these are the common diseases. So again, cholera is caused by a bacteria which is called as Vibrio cholerae. And then the third bacterial disease that we are going to discuss is typhoid. So again, typhoid is a bacterial infection which is caused due to the Salmonella typhi. This is again a bacteria. So all the three infections are caused due to bacteria. Here the bacteria is the pathogen. Coming to the viral infections now, we have the first viral infection, that is nothing but measles. So the virus which causes the measles disease is called as measles virus. And then we have chickenpox. This is generally a disease which is referred to as Amma. People say Amma has come to this child, and children, those who are suffering from this disease will start getting rashes on their body, all that stuff. We have a false belief that this can be cured only when we visit the temples, by a lot many things. Basically, it is a viral infection which is caused due to a virus which is called as varicella zoster virus. So it is must that a person and a child or an infant, whenever they are infected with this virus, that is chickenpox, varicella zoster virus, we have to make sure that we are visiting a doctor and getting the vaccination done, or else it will become really difficult. And remember, it is a viral infection which might spread. That is the reason why if one child of the family gets this problem, the other children of the family will also develop, because it is a communicable disease. So to stop it, we have to make sure the person who is infected first has to get the vaccination done through the doctor. And the next one is, we have done with measles, we are done with chickenpox, and then polio. Now this polio is caused due to a polio virus. And the next disease will be the hepatitis A. Now this hepatitis A again is caused by hepatitis A virus. And all these four diseases here, the cause of these diseases are the viruses. So these are the viral infection, and the last disease that we are supposed to discuss under diseases in human is malaria. In last video only we covered that malaria is caused due to a protozoa which is called as plasmodium. So this is the only disease which is included, which is caused due to a protozoa in your syllabus. Now coming to these diseases is how we know that these are communicable. So these can spread through the various means. This can spread through a vector, or can be through the water, or can be through air, or can be through the food that we eat. So the common precautions that we have to take to overcome these diseases is, first of all, we have to make sure that the food and the water that we are utilizing is completely hygienic. We have to make sure that if the filters are working properly or not, and the water has to be filtered. If filter is not available, we can go for the boiling process. Boil the water perfect and then cool it down, and then you can consume it as a normal water. That will be full safe for all of us. Coming to the food, we have to make sure that we should prefer the food which is homemade, made by our mothers or made by us only, and we have to consume it. So the home food should be preferred, and we have to avoid eating in those places which are unhygienic, because unhygienic condition calls for these pathogens, and these pathogens cause various diseases in us. So we have to make sure that the covered hygienic food should be consumed. And then we have to make sure that if there are viral infections, the vaccination has to be done on time. It's not like it is too late now for us to take the vaccination. That condition shouldn't arise. So we have to make sure that the proper vaccination is done on time. And then we have to make sure that in certain conditions, wherever it is required, we are keeping the patient isolated. Most probably that has to be done in the viral infection, wherein the person who has got affected should be kept isolated, so that these viruses will not infect the healthy people too in the family. Then wherever it is like the diseases which are spreading through the vectors, like mosquitoes and all, so to avoid mosquitoes, we have to make sure that the water is not stagnant around the house, and the necessary precautions should be taken, like using the mosquito nets, or using the mosquito repellents and all has to be done. So these are the general precautions that has to be taken to overcome all these diseases. Let's just revise the name of the diseases and the pathogen which is causing it. So tuberculosis is caused by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae. It is again a bacteria. Typhoid is caused due to Salmonella typhi bacterium. Then measles, it is a viral infection caused by measles virus. Chickenpox is caused by varicella zoster virus. Then we have polio caused by polio virus, and hepatitis A caused by hepatitis A virus. So all these four diseases, measles, chickenpox, polio, and hepatitis A, are caused due to the viruses, and the last one is malaria, which is caused due to a protozoa called as plasmodium. And this is a disease which spreads through the female Anopheles mosquito. So we have to make sure that we are taking necessary precautions to avoid the mosquito in our places. So these are the diseases which are caused by the pathogens, microorganisms in the humans. Now let us talk about the diseases caused in plants. There are not many diseases included in your syllabus. We are going to discuss about only three diseases which are caused by the pathogens in the plants. So the first disease that we are going to discuss is citrus canker. As the name itself suggests, it is a disease which is caused in citrus family plants like lemon, sweet lime, oranges. So, in citrus, this citrus canker, which is caused in citrus plants, it is caused due to a bacteria called as Xanthomonas citri. Xanthomonas citri. So this is a bacteria which is causing this disease. And what happens is, once this disease is seen in one plant in the field, you get to see that this spreads through the air. So the bacteria will be carried simply through the wind, and it goes and falls onto the other plant, and the other plant gets infected. So we have to make sure that once a plant is found to be infected by this bacteria causing citrus canker in any plant, simply uproot that plant so that it is safe for the other plants to live in that field. Coming to the second one, that is nothing but rust of wheat. Now this is caused due to a fungus which is called as Puccinia graminis. Now Puccinia graminis is a fungus. So this fungus basically spreads through the air. We know that these fungi basically produce the spores, and those are quite stable. They won't undergo the death process very soon. They basically go for the process called as dormancy, wherein they are not dead, but they remain there for a very longer period of time, waiting for the suitable conditions to be back. Once the suitable conditions are back, they again germinate into new plants when the suitable conditions are back. So those spores which are there, they can easily, being lighter in their weight, they can be easily spread through the air from one plant to the other plant. Or else, once you find that the wheat plant is infected by this Puccinia graminis, the seeds which will be obtained from this plant will also have this fungi. So we have to make sure that the seeds which are used are carefully tested, and then we are using them. And then once the plant is found to be infected by Puccinia graminis, we have to make sure that those plants are uprooted from the field. So that is the precaution that has to be taken. And the last one is yellow vein mosaic of Bhindi. Yes, Bhindi is nothing but okra, that is nothing but the lady fingers. So, yellow vein mosaic of Bhindi, it is a viral infection. Here we studied it is a bacterial infection. And here we saw that it is a fungal infection which is caused due to a fungi, and here it is a viral infection which is caused due to a virus called Bhindi yellow vein mosaic virus. As the name suggests, it is caused due to a virus, and it again spreads easily through the insects, because insects, they go sit on this or eat upon these leaves which are infected by this, go sit on the other plant and try eating. While they are eating, they transfer this virus to the other plant, and the other plant gets infected. So we have to make sure that insecticides are used so that the insects are not coming and feeding on these land. And then you have to make sure that once the plant is infected, we again have to uproot this plant so that it will not spread from a infected plant to a healthy plant. So these are the 3 diseases. Let us just revise the names of the diseases and the pathogens causing it. Citrus canker, caused in the citrus family fruits, which is caused due to a bacteria called as Xanthomonas citri. Then we have rust of wheat, which is caused due to a fungi called as Puccinia graminis. Then we have yellow vein mosaic of Bhindi, which is caused due to a virus called as Bhindi yellow vein mosaic virus. So these are the 3 diseases which are included in your syllabus. Now, the question arises as, are the microorganisms being harmful in our daily life? Are they causing only diseases and harming us? The answer is no. They basically do other things also with which the human being gets troubled. That is all because of, first is spoiling the food, they spoil the clothes as well. You might have seen, whenever a room is closed and the room gets the moisture, whatever is kept in the room, it gets fungal infected, and you get to see that the musty smell starts and all that stuff happens because of the fungal infection. So fungus is a microbe which is actually spoiling the cloth and the wall. And then they also eat leather. Again, they spoil the leather. In this video, let us cover the concept of spoilage of food by the microbes and what can be done to avoid this spoilage. We will discuss about it. Let us discuss about spoilage of the food by the microorganisms. We spoke few minutes ago that the food which is contaminated by the bacteria can cause so many problems. Apart from the disease which is caused, there arises a condition called as food poisoning. This is very common nowadays. People suffer due to food poisoning a lot. Now, food poisoning is a condition which arises due to the consumption of the food which is spoiled by the microorganisms. So we know that whenever the food is prepared and it is kept like that for a long time, or if it is not covered, these microbes will come and sit on that and start feeding on it, and they start producing harmful chemicals in them. So those harmful substances, when they are taken inside the body, they cause various problems. So that one of the problem that is caused is nothing but the food poisoning. Now this food poisoning can be of lesser extent, where people just suffer from the stomach ache, they will have headache, vomiting sensations, vomiting, diarrhea. That's completely alright. Sometimes this food poisoning becomes fatal. Here there is a contrast. What basically happens is the same food material, if you keep it open, it will get spoiled. But the same food material, if you convert it into something else and then use it, you can use it for a longer period of time. For example, let's take the common example that is given in the textbook itself. If you keep the raw mangoes just like that for a longer period of time, they won't stay. They get spoiled. They get rotten. You'll not be able to consume it. But if the same mangoes are converted to pickle, and if they are preserved, you are able to preserve them for 5 months or 6 months. How is it happening? There's something which is used in those food items which are called as food preservatives. Now these food preservatives help in preservation of food. So now we are going to discuss about preservation of food, so that the food is protected from the activity of the microbes and we are able to preserve it for a longer time. Coming to the food preservation process, it can be done with the help of certain substances or certain chemicals which are called as food preservatives. Now these food preservatives can be of various types. To talk about, let us take the first example. Those are chemical preservatives. There are basically two chemical preservatives which are used. One is sodium benzoate. Now this sodium benzoate, what basically happens is, the moment it is added to the food, the benzoate which is there, it will get converted to something called as a benzoic acid. Benzoic acid being an acid increases the pH level, acidity of the substance, and in that acidic condition, the microbes will not be able to survive. That's how it protects the food from getting spoiled. So this sodium benzoate is used in various jams, squashes and all that we use. So this sodium benzoate is used over there. Coming to the second one, that is nothing but sodium metabisulfate. Sodium metabisulfate, as the name suggests, it contains sulfur. So the moment it comes in contact with the food, it forms sulfur dioxide, which is antimicrobial. That means it acts against the microbes. It will kill all the microbes present in the system and it will not allow the microbes to grow. That's how, again, sodium metabisulfate helps in preservation of food and becomes a chemical preservative. So these are the two examples of the chemical preservatives that are given in your textbook that we have to remember. Coming to the next food preservative, that is nothing but the salt. Children, now we need to understand a keyword which is called as osmosis. Osmosis is nothing but movement of these substances from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Alright. So here will be a semi-permeable membrane. So here will be the higher concentration and here will be a lower concentration. So simply the substances will move from this region to this region. So to talk about the salt, what will happen is when we add salt into the medium, this salt removes the water. How does it remove? See, whenever, for example, now let us take this. Here, if I add salt into this, this one and this one, what will happen? It might happen that, for example, this is bacterial cell. And this is the salt in the medium. So now the salt which is there, it is actually dissolved in the water present in the medium. So what will happen because of the salt concentration which is high, okay, the bacteria in the bacterial cells, the water which is there, to compensate the amount of salt, the water will move to this side. So from the bacterial cells, when the water is removed, bacteria will not be able to survive. And that's the reason why the salt becomes a food preservative, because it kills the microbes due to the osmosis process. It removes the water from their body. Basically, the salt is used in, salted meat, salted fish, amchur and all. To preserve these materials, the salt is basically used. Coming to the third material, it is the oil. We know that children, oil's density is lower when compared to the water. So whenever we add the oil into the medium, the water which is there in the system, it will go down because it is dense when compared to the oil, and oil will form a layer on the top. Now this oily layer which is there on the top will not allow the microbes to enter the system, enter that surrounding, and as a result it behaves as a food preservative because it will not allow the entry of the microbes, and it cuts off the supplies for the microbes which are there inside the system, and those microbes will be killed, and that's how it becomes the food preservative. Coming to the fourth one, that is nothing but vinegar. Children, we already studied that vinegar is called as acetic acid. The same effect here. See, I told you that benzoic acid, when it is formed, due to the acidity, microbes will not be able to survive. The same thing here. Vinegar, which is acidic acid, being acid in its nature, it makes the surrounding become acidic. So in those acidic condition, microbes will not be able to grow, and hence vinegar becomes the food preservative. This vinegar is used in various pickles, pickled eggs, pickled fish. Yeah, so there the vinegar is used. Coming to the next one, that is the sugar. You might have seen, when we increase the sugar amount, the substance becomes thick. This happens because sugar has got the capacity to remove the moisture. Moisture is an essential requirement for any microbe to grow. The moment from the surrounding the moisture is removed due to the sugar, the microbes will not be able to survive, and that's how sugar becomes a preservative. It removes the moisture from the surroundings or the medium, and it preserves the food. So this is how the sugar behaves as a preservative in food preservation. Apart from this, there are two treatments which are used. One is the hot treatment, another one is cold treatment. Children, basically what do we do whenever we prepare some food items? Like, whether it is milk or any other liquid substance, what do we do with it if the curry is also prepared? If we don't want to refrigerate it, we basically go for heating process. What happens is, whenever the temperature of the food material is increased, the microbes in those food materials will be killed. Now, from that period to a certain period of time, the bacteria which have entered the system will not be able to spoil the food because the quantity will be less. So up to a certain extent, for that duration, the food can be preserved. That's how the hot treatment or the heating process becomes a food preservation method. You might have seen on the milk packets, children, it will be written as pasteurized and toned milk. Pasteurized milk is nothing but that milk which is heated to a very high temperature for a limited period of time, and then suddenly it is cooled and suddenly it is packed. That kind of milk is called as pasteurized milk. Now, whenever pasteurization occurs, pasteurization is the process where the liquid substance is heated to a very high temperature for a particular period of time and then it is suddenly cooled. So, after the pasteurization, the material can be preserved for a long time. Basically, the milk which we use, it is heated up to 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 20 seconds, not minutes. It is heated to a temperature of 70 degrees Celsius, which is really higher. And after heating to that temperature for 15 to 20 seconds, suddenly it is cooled and then it is packed. That is called as the pasteurized milk. So during this pasteurization, due to the high temperature that we provided for the milk, most of the microbes will be killed, and as a result the milk packet can be preserved for 2 to 3 days. Apart from this, there are other brands of milk which we get, which can be preserved without refrigeration, without opening the packet. Those milk packets can be preserved for 5 to 6 months, because these milk packets, the milk which is there in these milk packets will be heated to a temperature of 300 to 320 degrees Celsius, which is really higher, to kill all the microbes present in them. And then the heating process happens for 2 to 3 seconds and then it is suddenly cooled and packed. So just because the milk was provided with a really high temperature, it can be preserved for a very longer period of time. So this process is called as pasteurization, where a liquid substance is basically heated to a very high temperature for a period of time and then it is suddenly cooled and packed. So this process again was discovered by the scientist who discovered the fermentation, that is Louis Pasteur. So Louis Pasteur gave the technique called pasteurization, which is helpful in killing the microbes, or we can say partial killing of microbes. So apart from heat treatment, we can go for cold storages, like we use the refrigerators, or whenever refrigeration is not available, we take a vessel full of water and then keep the container containing the food so that the surrounding remains cool and the food is not spoiled for a longer time. This is all because again the cold temperature is not suitable for the microbial growth, and that's how the microbes, if they enter also, they'll not be able to spoil the food for a period of time. Remember children, heating technique and cooling down the temperature of any food material will help us to preserve the food for a short period of time. But these other food preservatives which are there, they will help us up to a certain extent to preserve the food material. So this is all about the complete food spoilage process. The food is spoiled by the microorganisms, and the consumption of the same food which is spoiled by the microorganisms can lead to the food poisoning. To avoid this, the food is preserved. It is preserved using the food preservatives, which can be the chemical preservatives like sodium benzoate or sodium metabisulfate, or else it can be salt, oil, vinegar, sugar, or we can heat the food, or we can go for the cold storage. So this is all about the four nature of the microorganisms. I hope you all enjoyed the video and you got to know a lot from this. If you have got a little bit also to know, let me know on the comment what more you want to know in this chapter, and your comments will be welcome. Any sort of query that you have, please comment. I will then and then answer all your queries over there, so that we are working towards a better future. If you like the video, please hit the button and give me a thumbs up. Subscribe our channel. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.